Hi, this is English with Ali, and I am going to talk about adjectives today. I am sure most of you know what adjectives are. They are words that describe a noun, they give more information about a noun, and I love adjectives. I hope that you love adjectives too. I think that they make writing and speaking so much more colorful, so much more beautiful, more descriptive. And I just wanted to make a movie about them today to let you know a little bit more about when you can use them, how you can use them, and just a few rules that you need to follow when using adjectives. This video is really good for beginner level students because it will give you a better understanding about what adjectives are. I also think it's a good video for intermediate and advanced students because it'll give you a good reminder of when to use them. And I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into the proper usage of adjectives. So you might learn some things on here that you didn't know before. All right. So let's start by giving a few examples of adjectives. What are your favorite adjectives? There's so many. Funny, smart, happy, quiet, sad, red, blue, colorful, small. These are all adjectives. So they describe a noun. They give you more information about a noun. So remember, a noun is a person, a place, or a thing. Okay, so an adjective can give you more information about a place, about a person, or a thing, like a chair, or a dog, or a house. All right, let's get started. If you have a sentence, okay, and you have a house in the sentence, it might be boring to just say, there was a house. If you add an adjective, you can make your sentence a little bit more interesting. Okay, so usually you just add an adjective right before the noun. So, for example, you could say, there was a big, old, beautiful house on my street. Okay, so I added 3 adjectives in there, but it created a really brighter picture in your mind, more descriptive picture about the house, right? It gave you a lot more information about the house. So that's the beauty of adjectives. They give you more information about a noun. Let's give another example, okay? Just to see how adjectives can make your writing and your speaking so much better. So I want you to pick which sentence you like better. So here's number 1. The dog ate the bone. Here's number 2. The happy brown dog ate the delicious milk bone. Which sentence do you like better? The second one, right? Because you can see more about the sentence. You can create a better picture in your mind. Both sentences had the same nouns, they had the same verb, but the second sentence just had a few more adjectives and it made it more descriptive and more interesting, right? So that's what adjectives are all about. So there are different types of adjectives. I'm going to go over them now. So the first type of adjective is a descriptive adjective. These adjectives give more information about the noun. They describe the qualities or characteristics of a noun. So they answer questions like, what kind of noun is it? Which one is it? Which noun is it? Or how many are there? Okay, so for example, the beautiful tree. or the tall boy? Which one? The tall one. The 3 dogs. How many dogs? The 3 dogs. Okay, so those are descriptive adjectives. The next one is demonstrative adjectives. So these adjectives tell proximity. Okay, so how close the noun is to you or someone. Okay, so these ones are this, that, these, those. Okay, so they show where something is. So this tells you this object close to me, and it's one object. That is one object or person over there. I like this chair, or I like that chair. Okay, this or that. So this chair, this tells you how close that chair is, right? It says it's this one right here. That means that chair over there. And these are plural things close. Those are plural things over there. So I like these candies. I don't like those candies. These, the proximity is close to me. Those, the proximity is farther away. So those are demonstrative adjectives. The next one is possessive adjectives, which I'm sure that you probably use all the time. We use this all the time. Possessive means who does it belong to, okay? Who possesses this thing? So these ones are my, your, his, her, our, their. All right. So for example, that is my car. My is telling you more information about the car. I'm saying it's my car. It belongs to me. Do you like your house? Your house tells everybody that it belongs to you. Your describes the house. He carries his backpack. So now everybody knows whose backpack it is. It's his backpack. Okay? That is a possessive adjective. And quantitative adjectives tell you how much. Okay? So it tells you the quantity that there are in that noun. Okay? So for example, you could use many, much, many for plural, or for count, much for non-count, few, several, little. So you could say, there are so many mosquitoes in this forest. Many said there's lots of mosquitoes. Okay, many describes the mosquitoes, and now I know there's lots in the forest, right? There is so much water in the ocean. Water is the noun. Much tells me more about the noun, about the water. Tells me how much there is. Lots. Okay, so those are the different kinds of adjectives. So let me just say them again. There's the descriptive adjectives. They describe, right? They tell you more about it. Demonstrative adjectives, they tell you where it is. Possessive tells you who owns it. And quantitative adjectives tell you how much or how many there are of this noun. Okay? So those are the different types. You don't need to know the names of them. You just need to know to use them. All right? So there are rules about where you place adjectives. So prenominal adjectives are placed right before the noun. So I've been using this the most so far. So for example, I have a beautiful house. Beautiful comes right before the noun. And it comes between the noun and the article, right? A beautiful house. I read an old book. Old comes right before book. An comes before the adjective. There are 3 large dogs. So that's 2 adjectives. And they both come directly before the noun. So dogs is the noun. So the other type, the other place where you could put an adjective is after a linking verb. And these are called postnominal adjectives. So they come after. So these adjectives come after the verb, but they tell you more about the subject. Okay, they give you more information about the subject. So for example, you can say, the car is blue. Blue is just telling you more about the car. Okay, she seems happy today. So happy is the adjective. It tells you more about her, about she, the subject. Last one, the cake smells delicious. So delicious is the adjective. I know that the cake smells delicious. Delicious is telling me more information about the cake. All right. So there's also a proper order to use adjectives in. Sometimes you just want to use one adjective, the blue car. Sometimes you might want to use 2 or 3 or 4 adjectives to describe a noun. So for example, the big, beautiful blue car. But you can't just throw them in wherever. There is a proper order that you need to use, otherwise it sounds funny. Okay, so the proper order to list the adjectives in your sentence goes like this. You start with the opinion. Okay, so that's how you think about something. So the opinion. The next is the size of something. The next is the age, how old something is or new. The shape, what shape it is, the color, the origin means where it comes from, the material, what it's made of, and the purpose, what it's for. Okay, so you need to follow that order when you put them in your sentence. So for example, you could say, I have a beautiful small antique silver ring. Okay, so we have beautiful small antique silver. 4 adjectives describing the noun, which is the ring. Okay, so beautiful is your opinion, what you think of it. So that's the first one, right? Small is the size. Antique means how old something is, right? And silver is the material that it is made of, okay? So we followed the order that we needed to. Let's give another example. She saw a small old silver ring on the big brown desk. So small old silver, that's 3 adjectives. Small is size, old is age, and silver is the material. So describing the ring. And the desk, there's 2 adjectives, big and brown. So size always comes before color. So to remember this, some of those things are just good to remember, like size comes before color or size comes before age. Okay, so you don't have to really remember them all. Over time, it will just come naturally for how you list them. Okay, so yeah, and using all of these adjectives helps to give more information about the noun. So we know so much more about it just by you telling us, giving those extra adjectives in there. The next thing, adjectives are also in the form of comparatives and superlatives. I have made a couple videos on comparatives and superlatives. I've done one on comparatives. I really dove into all the rules about forming a comparative. So if you have any questions about it, you could go and watch that movie. I've also done one on superlatives, so go watch that video as well. Again, comparatives and superlatives are forms of adjectives, so you can use those to describe nouns too. So a comparative compares two things to each other, one to one. And for short adjectives, you add er, which forms the comparative. And if it's a long one, you add more, okay, before the adjective. For example, you could say, John is taller than Mark. So taller describes John. Okay, taller is the adjective, and it tells me more about John, right? It tells me he is taller than Mark. Gives me more information about John. The book is more interesting than the movie. Okay, so interesting is a long word, so used more. So the book is what we're describing, and it's more interesting. The book is more interesting. I know more information about the book now. And superlatives, same thing. So this is when you compare one thing to a group of things. When it's a small adjective, you add est to the end of it. When it's a big one, a long one with lots of syllables, you say the most in front of the adjective. So for example, that's the tallest building in the city. Tallest describes the building, okay? Or she is the most talented singer. So the most tells me more about the singer. She is the most, and talented is a 3-syllable word, so that's why you say the most. Again, if you have questions about when to use the most and when to use est, go and check out my other videos. Also, as I'm talking about it, I would love it if you could subscribe and like this movie if you have some time, and check out my other videos that I have been making for you guys. So those are the comparatives and superlatives. Let's do a little bit of practice. So with the comparatives and superlatives. So I'm going to write a sentence and I want you to put in the proper comparative or superlative. So number 1, the girl won the race. Fast is a small word. So you would, and this is a superlative. Okay. So the fastest girl won the race, because you're comparing a girl to a group of people as well, right? Not one to one. When you're in a race, usually it's with lots of people. Number 2, this is coffee I have ever tasted. So this is another superlative. So I would say, this is the most delicious coffee I have ever tasted, because delicious is a long word. Delicious, 3 syllables. That's a long word. Number 3, he is blank than his brother. So tall is a short word. You're comparing one thing to another thing, him and his brother. So he is taller than his brother. And the last one, the blank flowers brightened the room. I'd put a superlative here. I'd say the most colorful flowers brightened the room. You could also not even make it a superlative. You could just say the colorful flowers brightened the room. All right, good job. And I'm just going to do one more thing with you, one more exercise. I'm going to give you a sentence, and I want you to make it more interesting by adding some adjectives to it, okay? So the first one, the bird flew to the tree. So you've got two nouns there, right? The bird and the tree. Answers here will all be different because we all have different ideas, right? So I might say, the beautiful blue bird flew to the tallest tree. So I threw a superlative in there. Did you? So all answers will vary, they won't be the same. So I hope that yours was good. Number 2, the girl picked the flower. Add some adjectives here, make it more interesting. Maybe the happy little girl picked the sweet smelling flower. Okay, and remember, if you're adding more than one adjective, follow the proper order. Don't just throw them in there, right? You've got to go size, color, age, whatever, but it has to follow that order. So one more, a frog jumped into the swamp. Here you could say, a little green frog jumped into the big, marshy green swamp, or whatever you want, right? But adding those adjectives create a better picture in the reader or the listener's minds. So that's the beauty of adjectives. They just make your writing and your speaking more interesting, more beautiful. And it adds more information, right? And it also specifies which noun or what noun you are talking about, okay? So adjectives give more information about nouns. So that's just a little video on how to use them properly, and I hope that you are more confident now in using adjectives, and I hope that you use them lots in your writing. Again, like and subscribe to this video. I would love it if you could check out my other videos and write any comments that you might have, questions. Yeah, have a great day. Bye.